Hello and welcome back to the 360 Perspective podcast with me, Trisha. Gosh, I know it's been a long minute. I know I've been MIA for some time, a lot of updates to do. And so that's why I decided to come on here and, just share where I've been, what's been going on. So for those who don't know, I relocated to Dubai. So the last live experience that I did was I'd say the final project I was doing in Kenya before moving to Dubai. So that's why I've been a bit silent for a couple of weeks, almost a month or more. But hey, here we are, just looking forward to continue recording content and putting out content that inspires, challenges, and helps us to grow. So today's episode is mainly an update of what's been going on. So yes, as I mentioned, I recently just relocated to Dubai. 2 months now. It's been 2 months. But honestly, for this particular episode, it just so happens that I'm visiting Kenya. So this episode is being recorded here in Kenya for a short visit. So I did a poll on Instagram just to ask whether you guys would want me to do, just a short episode of what transition looked like, moving to a new country. And so that's what this episode is all about. Just the realities, the truths, the good, the bads, the in-betweens of moving to a new country. Particularly for my case, it's Dubai. So I did have like a set of questions to just guide today's conversation, just from what I asked around my friends and community. So the first question is, why relocate to another country? So for my case, this particular situation, I moved to Dubai mainly because my husband got a job in Dubai. So backstory, when you're dating and, that question that sometimes pops up, hopefully it pops up in your relationship if you are in one, of would you consider moving to a new country in case an opportunity comes up? So that question came up when we were dating and, I think we don't really think too deep about it. So I remember him asking me whether I was open to moving to a new country in case like a job opportunity opens up. And I was like, yeah, sure, no biggie, I've lived outside Kenya, before, so there's no big deal. But honestly, I wasn't thinking too deep about it. I was just like, but what are the chances, So lo and behold, after him asking me that question, he mentions there's an opportunity job opportunity that is open in Dubai, and whether he should proceed and apply for it. I was like, yeah, you go ahead, But then I'm like, but what are the chances? Obviously, it's very competitive and all that. And trust me, in a couple of months, he ended up getting the job. And that's when it started dawning on me that, wow, for real, this is happening. So he ended up getting the job, and so we agreed after the wedding he'll move to Dubai for like a couple of months, and then I'll join him later. And that's what happened. So the reason why I relocated to Dubai was mainly because he got a job, and so because I'd already said yes to it, it had to happen. So what did the transition look like? So that's the second question. What did the transition look like? Honestly, for me, the transition wasn't as easy, I may say. Backstory, I'd spent most of my campus years abroad. So I did both my undergrad and master's abroad in the US and in the UK. So I'd already lived life outside, of Kenya, explored, gotten to see, what there is to see out there. And by the time I was moving back to Kenya, honestly, for me, I was content with life in Kenya. Like I realized, especially when it comes to like quality of life, you have family, you have friends, the food, the weather, like honestly, when I weighed what I saw, or rather my experience outside Kenya versus now my time and my stay in Kenya, I was very much content with just being in Kenya, growing in Kenya, just being able to financially establish myself in Kenya and just be able to now travel outside, outside Kenya or around the world, while being based and located in Kenya. So I was at a place where I was fully content with being in Kenya. But because this had happened, and honestly, I'm a firm believer that God brings two people together, because his desire is for the two of them to live together, to grow together, and to establish themselves together, grow a family, and every other thing that he has in store for them. And so the fact that this happened, I had to make a decision between closing chapters in Kenya and having to join him in Dubai, and just trusting that, if God opened that opportunity, because true to it, even when he was applying for the job and all that process, it was something that we would constantly pray about and just get confirmations from God on whether that's the direction that he wanted him to take and ultimately for us to take. And sure enough, there were so many confirmations along the journey. And so for me, the fact that God was involved from the word go, from the very beginning, was an assurance that, it's a door God has opened. And as much as humanly speaking, I wasn't, there yet, in terms of just being able to move. But the assurance that, God's will is what led us to Dubai is what I held on to with this whole transition. So what did the transition look like? For me, honestly, I'd say I had a few things, several things going on for me in Kenya. And so in short, I just had to close chapters. There were so many things that I was doing here, a lot of leadership spaces that I was in, that I had to hand over to different people, mentorship groups that I was in as well. Once again, I just had to do a handover, and pretty much the process was, it was quite something, a lot of goodbyes to different people and different spaces and different communities that I was a part of. And I'd say it was more of a bittersweet, mainly because I didn't see it coming. I'm not the one who applied for the job and got the opportunity. And, so I wouldn't say I was so much mentally prepared to exit Kenya. I think it's just an opportunity that came just abruptly, and I think it came, I'd say, as a surprise, mainly because perhaps because I'm not the one who was heavily involved in it. It was more or less my husband. But then, it's something that I had to now mentally start adjusting and accepting the realities of it. And honestly, I have to say, for the transition, it was almost like going through the 5 stages of grief, whereby, not in a bad way per se, but I think, as a lady, I don't know that you ladies feel me, but legit, I think it's like almost taking risks. And I've seen other friends really, grapple with it, whereby their husbands have gotten jobs outside Kenya, and just the realities of, oh my gosh, how do I leave what is going on for me in Kenya? How do I give up my job? How do I give up all these opportunities that I have in Kenya to move to another country where I have to start from scratch? And honestly, it's a really harsh reality, if I may say, because it's more of you're taking chances without having an idea what life has in store for you on the other side. But I'd say also just the reality that if God is the center of it, and if that it's an opportunity that God has opened, then you can cling on to the truth that God's got you. It may not be easy, and honestly, those 2 months that I've been in Dubai, it's had it's had its highs, just experiencing Dubai and getting to travel and explore. But then there's also been those realities of, okay, now I'm here, job hunting or what to do, and just figuring out the movement, moving from one point to another, the realities of living expenses in a new country. And I mean, Dubai is not a cheap city. It's quite expensive. So just adjusting to that reality, looking at, okay, it's now a one income household for now, before I get a job. So also just grappling with all those realities. And I think those are the harsh realities, I'd say, that you have to make peace with. before moving, and rather that's what I had to, make peace with, that, it may not be all rosy at the beginning, but then I just have to believe that God has opened that door for me to just be able to do life with my husband, as well as just honor God with that decision, and trust that God will honor my obedience to what he is commanded in regards to what marriage ought to look like. So the next question is, which I feel like I've already answered, was it an easy move? I'd say it wasn't that easy, honestly. There was a lot I had to give up. I had to give up my job. I had to give up my community, people that I knew, my family that was here in Kenya, to move to another country where I didn't know anyone, so it meant having to establish a new community in Dubai. Thankfully for church, my husband got a job in a church organization back in Dubai. So that made it a bit easy to plug into a church community, because the community was already there. It's a lovely, lovely community, lovely, lovely church. It's called Fellowship Dubai, one of the biggest churches, I'd say, in Dubai. And so the community there has been super, super amazing. So in terms of community, I'd say I didn't really struggle a lot, because God had already prepared that ahead of time. So it's not been so much of a struggle. Obviously, making friendships in your adulthood years isn't easy. Duh. So just trying to find authentic friends and community. That's a whole process, I'd say, as much as, yes, you may have a godly community, but the close connections and the people that you choose to bring into your inner circle takes a whole process, for you to feel confident enough or trusting enough to let somebody in a bit deeper. So that's been the process. I think also the other challenge was, just finding accommodation in Dubai. I mean, as I say, Dubai is quite expensive. So, finding accommodation and a place to stay, it was just a whole journey for me and my husband. And just the realities of, we live in the 21st century where we talk about, racism is not there and whatnot. But trust me, Dubai is another whole story. Yeah. I've lived in the States, I've lived in the UK, but the racism in Dubai is something else. I don't know whether I'll have to do like another whole episode for that. But I think also those have been some of the harsh realities of living in Dubai. But somehow God's grace has been sufficient, and we've just been able to navigate, and, his favor has been heavily evident in our lives. So truly grateful for that. And then lessons from previous journey of relocation. Yeah, I remember a friend asking me, you make it so easy, like how you move from one country to another, you make it look so easy. Honestly, I don't know whether that's the truth of it. I'd say moving to a new country is it's more or less taking a risk. Previously, I think because in the US and in the UK, I went because of school. I feel like that's a bit easier, because obviously when you're going to uni, you already have a cohort of your classmates and people around you. So in a way, there's a sense of community, though not all the time, because as I said, you have to also do the work of being able to socialize and just go through the process of vetting your friendships to know who you want to bring inside your circle. But honestly, I know there's that harsh reality of loneliness when you move abroad, because you're moving away from your family, from the people that you've known, growing up, to a new country where you barely know anyone. And so it can get a bit lonely, to be honest, especially if you're not, socially quick and fast, to adapt to new environments and making friendships, and also depending on your personality. So I know it can be a bit hard on some people. But I'd say for me that some of the lessons that I've learned from my previous journey of living abroad or studying abroad has been, one, just being able to get out of your comfort zone. I feel like living abroad forces you to get out of your comfort zone, to make friendships, to meet new people, to plug into communities that otherwise, you'd rather stay at home than step out there. So then you're forced to really step out there, because at the end of the day, you have to build a community in order to survive in the foreign countries. As a believer, also finding a church in a community where it's a Bible believing community that preaches sound doctrine to begin with, but then also a church community where you feel like you belong. So I know that can also be a tedious task when you move to a new country, but I feel like it's very necessary. Once you find a community of believers and you find a place that you can call home, I feel like that makes it a bit easy when you relocate to a new country. But then also, I'd say the other struggle is converting currencies. Yeah, I trust me, if you live abroad, please let us know in the chat comment section. But I'd say that's also usually another challenge, where you're always converting, whether it's dollars or pounds, or now in my case dirham, and you convert it to the Kenyan money and you're like, no, I can't buy, it's too expensive. When you convert it to Kenyan shillings, you're like, in Kenya I'll buy this thing for 200 bob. Kwanza, let's talk about avocados. Let me tell you, avocados in Dubai, my goodness. Yeah, another whole story. So yeah, guys in Kenya, please enjoy your avocados as much as you can, because out there is a real struggle, real struggle. So for me, those have been some of the lessons that I've learned, just being able to find a community, find a church where you can belong, but more so I'd say just putting God at the center of your journey. I think living in a foreign country, gosh, if God is not ordering your steps, and if God is not in the middle of it, I don't know how you can survive out there, because it's a lot. It's a lot. As a Kenyan, as our color, our wonderful black color, the accent, and so many other factors that come into play. I feel like really, if you don't have God by your side, life can really be hard. So I'd say for us, perhaps that's what has enabled us to just sail through seamlessly, if I may, in spite and despite of the challenges that we've been through. Because I feel like God's grace provides such a buffer when you are in a foreign country, just trying to do life and trying to figure out life in that foreign country, away from people and things that you are familiar with. And so that's the number one thing I'd say. Just have God by your corner, like every single day. And I believe as long as you have God at the center of your life and just trusting him to order your step in that foreign country, then he will set you apart in so many ways. He'll, bring opportunities your ways. He'll, give you favor. He'll give you access. And, his grace will provide such a buffer in terms of, instead of the harsh realities that others go through, God's grace provides such a buffer that you are able to just sail seamlessly in those foreign countries and almost make it look like it's easy, but all credits to God. And the final question is, are there any benefits of relocating? I mean, there are benefits. Moving to a new country provides new opportunities for you to explore, whether it's a job, whether it's career, I've seen people who've relocated because they're tired of relationships in Kenya, and so they go out there seeking for different taste. I'd say, I don't know, maybe they should come on here and tell us whether that's worked or not. If you're one of those people, please let us know in the chat comment whether it's worked for you or not. But yes, there are benefits of relocating, and I'd say for me, moving to new countries has enabled me to grow in ways that honestly I don't think I would have if I was raised here in Kenya. And so I'd say that's been one of the benefits, just being able to grow at different levels, intellectually, but also culturally, just being able to learn about other cultures, being culturally intelligent. It also allows you to really learn a lot about yourself, because you're away from family, so you get to interact with other people who point certain things about you that you didn't know, and you get to establish a form of relationship with yourself and just getting to understand yourself in so many ways. But I'd also say, for me, also financially, living abroad has really challenged me with how I manage and handle finances. That I feel like I don't think I would have grown that much if I was in Kenya in terms of knowing how to manage and handle finances in a way that works for me, whether in a foreign country or even in my home country. And yes, just getting to meet other people from other countries, from other nations, being able to establish friendships with people from all over the world. That's also been another benefit. And I'd say for me, because of that, I always say, anytime I need to travel to a foreign country, chances are, I at least know someone from that country. So whether it's getting hosting for free, being hosted for free, or whether it's just recommendations from them, it normally makes my holidays and my vacation trips very, very affordable just because I know someone in that foreign country. So it also gives you that opportunity to meet people from other countries and other nations. So I'd say that those have been some of the benefits that I've gotten to experience from relocating from my home country. But I'd say bottom line of today's conversation is, if you are considering moving to another country, I'd say seek God first. God makes everything less hard, if I may say, and I think it reminds me of just the story of Moses and the Israelites, when Moses told God, unless your presence goes with us, do not let us go from here, and I think that's the reality of life. God's presence is what will set you apart in whatever country he's calling you into. And so you would rather stay in Kenya where God's presence is rather than send yourself, because I think sometimes when we send ourselves where God has not sent us, and life becomes hard. Remember, like the story of Jonah, when you decide to send yourself, man, let me tell you, there are things that will come after you that it's like you called for them, but mainly it's because you decided to do things your own way. And so for me, I'd say if you are considering that option, seek God and let God be the center of that decision. If he's given you that opportunity, he's opened the doors, and you believe that that's where God is sending you, then take the chances, and just trust that he will carry you even as you sail through whatever country it is, and just that know that at the end of the day, he will be with you with the challenges, with all the harsh realities that you are going through. God is going to be with you, and he will carry you through that season. So that's what's been going on with my life. That's what's been happening with the 360 Perspective podcast. But I do hope to continue recording content in Dubai, as well as just releasing some bonus episodes that I'll be able to record during my short stay here in Kenya before I return back to Dubai. All right, that's it for today. Let me know if today's conversation, there's something that you've learned from the conversation today, or if you have any comment, please feel free to leave it in the chat comment section. And I look forward to seeing you in our next bonus episodes. See you.